Hello everyone, and welcome. Today, we go on a journey back in time to tell one of the most incredible stories ever told. A complete story of Moses, from a baby in a basket to a prince of Egypt, and finally, to the deliverer of his people. So sit back, and let's explore this epic biblical account. Our story begins during a dark time for the children of Israel in Egypt. A new pharaoh, who did not know Joseph, had risen to power. Fearing the growing numbers of the Israelites, he enslaved them and issued a terrible decree. Every Hebrew baby boy was to be thrown into the Nile River, but one brave mother Jochebed sought to save her newborn son. As it says in Exodus chapter 2, "And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bullock, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink." This tiny ark, carrying a precious child, was found by none other than Pharaoh's own daughter. She had compassion on the crying baby, and though she knew he was a Hebrew child, she decided to raise him as her own. She named him Moses, which means drawn out, because she drew him out of the water. Moses grew up in the splendor of the Egyptian palace, educated as a prince, but he never forgot his true heritage. One day, as a grown man, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his Hebrew brothers. In a fit of rage, he struck the Egyptian and killed him, burying him in the sand. The next day, he saw two Hebrews fighting and tried to intervene, but one of them revealed that his deed was known, asking, "Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killest the Egyptian?" Fearing for his life, Moses fled from Egypt into the land of Midian. There, he rested by a well and defended the daughters of a priest named Jethro. In return, Jethro welcomed Moses into his family, and Moses married his daughters. For 40 years, Moses lived as a humble shepherd, tending his father-in-law's flocks. His past life as a prince of Egypt seemed a distant memory, but God had a plan for Moses. One day, while leading his flock to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God, Moses saw an astonishing sight. A bush that was on fire but was not burning up. As he turned to look closer, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses," and he said, "Here am I." God then commanded him, "Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground." From the burning bush, God revealed his divine plan. He had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt, and had come down to deliver them. God commissioned Moses to be his instrument of salvation, telling him in Exodus chapter 3, "Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people the children of Israel out of Egypt." Moses was filled with doubt. Who was he to stand before Pharaoh? He made excuses, saying he was not an eloquent speaker. But God assured him, "I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say." God gave Moses miraculous signs to perform, and appointed his brother, Aaron, to be his spokesman. So, Moses returned to Egypt. He and Aaron went before Pharaoh and delivered God's command, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hard. He refused and increased the burdens of the Israelite slaves. In response, God unleashed a series of 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt. The Nile turned to blood, frogs covered the land, lice, flies, disease on livestock, boils, hail, locusts, and darkness. With each plague, Moses pleaded with Pharaoh, but each time, Pharaoh refused to yield. Finally, God announced the 10th and most terrible plague, the death of the firstborn. God instructed the Israelites to mark their doorposts with the blood of a lamb. That night, the angel of death passed through Egypt, striking down the firstborn in every Egyptian home, from the palace to the dungeon. But it passed over the homes of the Israelites marked with blood. This event is remembered as the Passover. Pharaoh, grieving the loss of his own son, finally relented. He summoned Moses and Aaron and commanded them to take their people and leave Egypt immediately. The Israelites, after 430 years of bondage, were finally free. They departed in haste, taking with them dough before it was leavened, and the silver and gold of the Egyptians. God led them not by the main road, but by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, guiding them toward the Red Sea. But Pharaoh's heart hardened once more. He regretted letting his workforce go and gathered his army, his chariots, and his horsemen to pursue them. The Israelites, trapped between the charging Egyptian army and the vast Red Sea, were terrified. They cried out to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die?" But Moses, full of faith, told the people, "Fear them not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace." Then God commanded Moses, "Lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea." Moses stretched his hand over the water, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind, turning it into dry land. The waters were divided, standing up like a wall on their right and on their left. The children of Israel walked through the sea on dry ground. The Egyptians pursued them into the heart of the sea, but God threw their army into confusion. Then, as the last Israelite reached the other side, God told Moses, "Stretch Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians. Moses obeyed, and the sea returned to its full depth, covering the chariots, the horsemen, and all of Pharaoh's army. Not one of them survived. Thus, the Lord saved Israel that day from the hand of the Egyptians. And the people saw the great work the Lord did, and they feared the Lord and believed in him and in his servant Moses. So after Moses crossed the Red Sea, the Israelites found themselves in the vast and unforgiving wilderness of Shur. Their joy quickly turned to grumbling. For 3 days they traveled without finding water. When they finally found some at Marah, it was bitter and undrinkable. The people cried out against Moses, "What are we to drink?" Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. It was there that the Lord made a decree and a law for them, and there he tested them. From there, they journeyed to Elim, where they found 12 springs and 70 palm trees, a welcome oasis. But soon, they were back in the wilderness, this time the desert of Sin. Their food ran out, and again they grumbled against Moses and Aaron. They longed for the pots of meat and bread they had in Egypt, but God heard their cries. He told Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you." That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning, a thin, flaky substance lay on the ground. It was manna. The Lord provided this heavenly bread for them every day for 40 years, except on the Sabbath. But their need for water was constant. At Rephidim, the people quarreled with Moses again, demanding water. God commanded Moses to take his staff and strike a rock at Horeb. Moses obeyed, and water gushed out for everyone to drink. It was also at Rephidim that the Amalekites attacked. Moses instructed Joshua to lead the battle while he, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of a hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning, but when he lowered them, the Amalekites gained the upper hand. So Aaron and Hur had Moses sit on a stone and held his hands up until sunset, securing a great victory. 3 months after leaving Egypt, the Israelites arrived at the foot of Mount Sinai. God called Moses up the mountain and made a covenant with his people. He gave them the 10 Commandments on 2 stone tablets, the moral foundation for their nation. The people, however, grew impatient while Moses was on the mountain. They convinced Aaron to make them a golden calf to worship. When Moses came down and saw their idolatry, his anger burned. He threw the tablets to the ground, shattering them, and destroyed the idol. He pleaded with God to forgive the people, and God, in his mercy, relented. For 40 years, the Israelites wandered the wilderness as a consequence of their disbelief and disobedience. An entire generation passed away, but God was always with them. He guided them by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. He taught them, disciplined them, and provided for them. Finally, the time came for them to enter the promised land. But Moses, because of an instance of disobedience at the waters of Meribah, was not permitted to enter. From the plains of Moab, the Lord took Moses up to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, across from Jericho. The Lord showed him the whole land, Gilead, Dan, Naphtali, the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the way to the western sea. The Lord said to him, "This is the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you will not cross over into it." So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, at the age of 120. His eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. The Israelites mourned for him for 30 days. And since that time, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Thanks for watching. If you found this story inspiring, please like this video and subscribe for more content from biblical history.